Making contact with the other side. In Newport, it's done for profit.
Welcome to the French Gothic Ballroom.
In the Bridgewater Triangle, it's done at your own peril.
Taking me into the jungle here.
Yeah.
Mary Richardson is seeking spirits in the material world. Ghosts, next on Chronicle.
We need a database. I'm just trying to assemble that.
Stephen Marshall knows his way around a database. A retired physicist with the U.S. Defense Department, he specialized in infrared technology.
They had used it in Vietnam to find the enemy troops coming in at night because they're hotter.
Tonight, with the help of former colleague Steve Rittenberg and his son David, Marshall will turn this heat-reading technology on a more elusive quarry.
This is the first time we're going to be able to apply one to a ghost or to a haunted building that we know is haunted. We may end up with nothing, but at least it's a start. There's something here, all right.
Marshall has made it his mission to bring scientific method to the study of the paranormal.
The final frontier of the mind is really very little explored.
We're at the Cornish Colony Gallery and Museum in Cornish, New Hampshire. Owner Alma Gilbert is convinced this old home plays host to more than fine art.
It's my belief that there is an entity that's here, and it's a female entity.
We got something right at the door, and then it got weaker when it came in.
Marshall's basic instrument, the dowsing rod.
Picks right up as soon as you come in here.
A tool thought by many to be sensitive to various energies, water, mineral, perhaps even spectral.
Whoa! Did you see that? It just bobbed suddenly.
First, a look in the barn, where Marshall's dowsing rod points to, and the thermal camera seems to confirm, something unusual in the rafters.
I'll show them where the...
Well, the violet and black spot in the middle of the screen is a cold area. And you've got a temperature drop of about 10 degrees or so Fahrenheit over at the end of that joist.
Yeah, but why? It should be warm up in there.
It's Marshall's theory that ghosts may be associated with a drop in temperature.
So we got a quantitative measurement. We've got something on that roof. It's 10 degrees. Inside the underside of that roof, it's 10 degrees colder, and we don't know why.
Later, an exploration of the house.
This home is getting more and more interesting by the minute.
But first, a look at those who listen to the other side.
Who has the archer set, or who worked with bow and arrows?
My brother.
Okay.
John Holland, not your average medium.
You saw the movie Sixth Sense.
That's what I'm thinking of. I see dead people.
Right, I hear dead people. Yeah, I got that. Your brother's passing fast, please?
Yes.
Okay. My role is to let them speak. And like I'm like a two-way radio. I'm just the medium. I'm just the phone.
John Holland is a Dorchester kid. He says he was always a little different.
My dad thought it was a little odd. I was the one that was more sensitive. I used to tell my mom, pick a number, pick a color.
Holland's abilities grew with time, but he says a car accident 7 years ago took him to a different level.
I was one big psychic antenna. It gives me the month of September, this month, being written right above your head. Is this for you? What's September, please?
Don't know.
Okay. It's with your brother, though, or something, okay? Something with September.
Oh, it's his birthday.
I've interviewed hundreds of astrologers and psychics, some of them that were completely ridiculous.
Radio host and singles dance maven Dick Syatt has been around the block. But grieving his father's death, he gave Holland a call. He was blown away. One example?
Who's Angela or Jolie? In the reading, you'll hear John say, who's Angela, Jella, Jolie? And then he said, Jolie. Why is your dad telling me to remind you about Jolie? And when I was a little boy, and all through my life, we both loved Al Jolson. And Al Jolson's nickname was Jolie.
Later, we test John Holland's abilities with an employee from Channel 5. But he's already made the grade as far as Dick Syatt is concerned.
It was completely worth every penny and the investment in time, because it really felt like I was with my dad, or my dad was with me, and it really felt like I was having a special experience that you'd see in a movie.
Are there spirits in this room right now?
Right there. No. They're not here 24/7. They have their own lives. They're doing their own thing over there, okay? They seem to gravitate towards us when we need them. They're only a thought away, Mary, okay? Just a thought away.
Must be a busy fella at this time of year, Mary John Holland.
He's busy all the time. He's very busy doing readings and seminars for people. But one interesting thing about John is he keeps his day job. He says that helps to keep him grounded in the everyday world. But we asked him, isn't it annoying to hear voices all the time? He says, no, he can turn the voices off because he said he really would not want to hang around dead people all the time.
Okay, and let's just see if we can net those poltergeists up in the barn.
We'll find out if they're in the barn.
Still ahead, an otherworldly husband and wife reunion.
Coming up later, a hex on the Hockomock.
A word that's synonymous with Satan.
And Peter Mahegan and Mary Richardson.
A visit to Newport's Mansion Row is like a trip back in time, if you've taken one, to the age of gilded ballrooms, marbled hallways, and fantastic wealth. It's a reminder of how fortunes and families can rise and fall in the span of decades.
Today, many of those homes are reliant on public tours to keep them open. And according to the owners of Belcourt Castle, the ancestors like the company. It is one of Newport's toniest addresses, and perhaps one of its creepiest.
Welcome to the French Gothic Ballroom at Belcourt Castle.
According to Virginia Smith, Belcourt Castle is lousy with ghosts. Take this suit of armor, please.
The poor chap inside of this died in here, and he's angry about it. And he growls at us.
Then there's the floating reflections in the apparently stationary Venetian mirror.
And we don't know why it does that. We just enjoy it when it happens.
Why the hauntings? Smith rounds up the usual suspects.
Energy, suffering, trauma. It's palpable.
The ghosts have become so active at Belcourt that owners Sir Donald and Harley Tinney decided to share them with the public. Smith, a medium, conducts the weekly tour and has some advice on ghostly etiquette.
If you meet a ghost, what to do? My advice is introduce yourself. Tell them I'm delighted to share the house with you.
All Newport appears to be in high spirits over ghosts. Several of the grand Bellevue Avenue mansions offer ghost tours. And in October, the local Visitors Bureau sponsored Haunted Newport, a month-long series of otherworldly events. Some are spooked.
We sort of take the approach to art and architecture and history in a traditional way.
Trudy Cox of the Preservation Society of Newport County. She wants it known that all of Newport's upper crust hasn't gone flaky.
I think it would be very surprising to let, in any way, Newport become too commercialized or to become too honky-tonk.
You came here when you were how old?
Harley Tinney, who saw her first ghost at Belcourt 2 weeks after moving in as a 19-year-old bride, doesn't much care what anyone thinks. After all, it's her castle.
I'm beyond that now. I am who I am. Belcourt is what it is. And this is just another dimension.
So, whoa, yeah. See, there's something in here. And it's so hard I can hardly hold it.
Up in New Hampshire, physicist Stephen Marshall, using an infrared camera, thinks he's cornered a ghost.
And now I'm below the ghost, so she was sitting right in here.
She paused like 3-4 times.
Yeah.
And then she just stopped.
So the isotherms are pulsing too.
It's going like...
See, we're making ghost history here, folks.
Marshall is aware that his research into the paranormal is controversial.
I've published over 55 scientific papers, and I'm used to my colleagues constructively criticizing my work.
But he doesn't have any use for knee-jerk naysayers.
I think science should have an open mind. Once you close your mind and you're not doing science anymore, you're doing, oh, what's the word? Bigotry, maybe?
But who needs technology when you've got a wooden table?
What do you like in your coffee?
While up in Cornish documenting Stephen Marshall, we meet Elizabeth Iams at the Chase House Inn. She lets us in on a little southern secret.
Well, my mother did it when she was young, and her mother. So, I mean, I guess it's a Virginia thing, or a southern thing, maybe.
It's called table rapping. IAMS enlists fellow traveler Mary Pryor and innkeeper Barbara Lewis to give it a try.
Is there anything you want to ask it, Barbara? Oh, this little table's ready to go.
Fingers linked, the table responds immediately.
Is the spirit of Bill Lewis here with us in this room? Tap once for yes, twice for no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
You want to know if Harold's here too, Mary?
Everyone checks in with their late husbands, and there's even some medical advice to be had.
Are you telling her she needs to get that knee replaced, Frank?
This is my first experience with table tapping. This was a remarkable experience indeed. The hairs just stood right up on my arm, yes, because the table clearly is not controlled by anybody that's sitting there. It's moving on its own.
Is Harold's spirit with us?
All three of us heard from our husbands, and all three of the husbands are happy where they are.
Well, Frank, you better be here.
I hope that doesn't mean they're unhappy. We're unhappy with us. There we go. All right.
Well, I just think it was exciting that you all even wanted it done. I haven't done it for so long. I was almost afraid it wasn't going to work, but you see, it did. Well, we could have been here until late afternoon asking the questions.
Not that easy to bring back the departed. They have to have certain
Our head
requirements.
table rapper, Ms. Iam, says, and this is her piece of advice for you, it has to be a wooden table and a wooden floor or it wouldn't work. That's how you remember it.
And back come the relatives.
That's right, you
for
get to
better
visit.
or for worse. Still to come, a psychic reading? Is it for real?
Monday on Chronicle, a fall foliage festival. Coming up next, strange sightings in the Bridgewater Triangle.
I was in shock.
The jungle here.
Yeah.
The Hockomock Swamp, 200 square miles, wild and dense with history and mystery. It's an area that's had more than its fair share of gruesome murders, UFO sightings, hauntings, and bizarre creatures. Bounded by Abington to the north, Rehoboth and the Freetown State Forest in the south, the region has been dubbed the Bridgewater Triangle.
So you're convinced this whole area has something strange going on?
Well, yeah, the whole Bridgewater Triangle area definitely does. I spoke to a chief of a Native American Indian tribe. He recognized the map right away, and he said, my people have cursed this area.
Joe DeAndrade of Bridgewater needs no convincing. Here on the edge of the Hockomock, he saw something he'll never forget.
And I looked at it, and I'm like, I was in shock. I was like, what?
What DeAndre says he saw was a Bigfoot-like creature several hundred yards away.
And what did it do?
It walked very slowly. Okay, it walked like this. You know, I said to myself, who's going to believe me, you know? But
And when you came back and told people, did anybody believe you?
Tell you the truth, by the looks in their faces, they looked skeptical, probably saying, oh, Joe, you know. But I reminded them, I am not the only one who has seen this.
It's the Bridgewater area. It's not that unusual for things like that to happen.
Jim Rice of Bridgewater has also been touched by the mysteries of the Hockomock.
Basically, right where that river bends off, we saw a light coming from around the bend, a friend and I, and at first we thought it was just a couple of canoers because it was at night and we thought maybe some people were hunting. And then it got to the point where the light entered the clearing and there was no canoe. It was just balls of light about the size of baseballs. I know it wasn't a flashlight. I know it wasn't a lantern. I know it wasn't ball lightning or some sort of reflection of the moon off the water. Other than that, all I can say is I've ruled out what it isn't, and what it is, I guess that's all up to the imagination.
Charles Robinson says we need only go back to the Algonquin language for insight into the Hockomock.
It's a word describing, or a word that's synonymous with Satan.
Robinson, who lives in Rehoboth, has compiled ghost stories from his local area and beyond. He's not sure he buys all the weird tales coming out of the Bridgewater Triangle, but his training in Native American archaeology taught him that the Indians wanted no part of the Hockomock.
The Indians were genuinely staying away from it. We know that much from the early colonial writers.
I'll tell you something, right? I am not afraid to speak about it because a lot of people that know me will say, oh, here he comes, you know, Bigfoot man.
Joe DeAndrade, now a self-dubbed paranormal investigator, says the Bridgewater Triangle has changed his life.
Those people who do not understand what I do, then, you know, that is their problem, you know. If maybe eventually their mind will open and realize that we live in a very mysterious world.
Does anybody have your dad's wedding ring that's on a chain or something, please? Understand?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My mother wears a braided chain with my dad's wedding ring.
Thank you. Because
we go back to our medium, John Holland. Tricia Hine, a makeup artist at Channel 5, lost her father several years ago.
Right, I got that. Who's the disc jockey? Anybody work on radio or something? Did your dad do
And he kept saying, I see a headset. I see a headset. What did your dad do? And I didn't know until I found that picture in the attic and asked my mom about it, that that's what he had done for a while during his service time. So that blew me away.
Holland hits a couple of things on the head.
I'm seeing horseshoes, okay? So I don't know if there's a horseshoe. I just have to give it to you as I'm getting it. Something about horseshoes.
That's funny you say that because, and my favorite thing to do with my dad was to play horseshoes.
There are misses as well.
Like, who's Lily? Doesn't make any sense. I keep hearing the name Lily over and over again.
But Holland says signals can get mixed up. After all, it's crowded over there on the other side.
I don't believe in the sitting up on the cloud with the harps, okay? I believe that when we shed this body, we're all made up of energy, okay? Energy cannot die. So when the body dies, we just move somewhere else. And the spirit world, and not to sound too woo-woo, encompasses ours. It's right over ours.
What he does is he gives you hope. He allows you to reach into an area that many of us in this lifetime have been too afraid to delve into or too afraid to believe.
John Holland frequently appears at Unicorn Bookstore in Arlington, usually sold out.
Okay, Chronicle will be back after this break. Stay with us.
New England's true colors flash frozen at peak in high-definition television. We'll go north to the Kank and west to the Mohawk, into Vermont's postcard towns, and up to Maine's secret spot for leaf peepers. Plus, Yankees tips for shooting winning photos and fun at the Freiburg Fair. Fall Foliage Festival, Monday on Chronicle.
Another reason to rush out and buy a high-definition TV. That stuff is amazing.
It is extraordinary. It really changes the nature of television. That's Chronicle for tonight.
See you tomorrow night, and stay tuned for a look at what's coming up on News Center 5 tonight.
Tonight, posing a threat to the presidential election. Now you can log onto a website and trade votes. How will swapping votes with friends affect the presidential race? Join us at 11.
Mirrors are a great place for ghosts. They call portals.